An island so small you can drive across it in 2 hours. That has produced more world record holders per square mile than any nation on Earth. Where a single mountain range creates 5 completely different climates at once. And where the ocean water runs in 2 directions at the same time. Today we're exploring 40 mind-blowing facts about Jamaica that will change how you see our world. Fact number 1. The world's most efficient sports factory. Jamaica has a population of under 3 million people. That's smaller than Chicago. Yet this island has won more Olympic sprint medals per capita than any country in history. At the 2008 Beijing Olympics alone, Jamaicans swept the top 3 spots in the men's 100-meter and 200 meters. No other nation has ever done that. Scientists are still trying to explain it. Fact number 2. 5 climates on one mountain. Jamaica's Blue Mountains rise over 7,400 feet from sea level. At the base, tropical heat and humidity. Halfway up, cool, temperate forest. At the peak, near freezing temperatures. Fog so thick you can barely see 5 feet. The mountain creates its own weather system, sometimes snowing while the coast is 85 degrees Fahrenheit. This isn't an exaggeration. Local farmers have reported frost on crops in the same week people sunbathed at the beach below. Fact number 3. The blue hole that hides a secret river. Hidden in Jamaica's interior are sinkholes called blue holes. They look like ordinary pools, brilliant blue, deceptively calm. But underneath, they connect to vast underground river systems running through miles of limestone cave. Divers who've entered have found freshwater rivers flowing beneath the ocean floor, pouring directly into the sea from below. An underground world, completely invisible from the surface. Fact number 4. The coffee that changed global taste. Jamaica. Jamaica Blue Mountain coffee is not just expensive, it's geopolitically significant. Japan imports over 80% of the entire annual harvest, every single year. The Japanese government maintains formal diplomatic agreements to protect this supply chain. A cup of Blue Mountain coffee in Tokyo costs over $50. One island's mountain controls the flavor preferences of an entire nation. Fact number 5. The island that's shaped like a giant turtle. Pull up a satellite map of Jamaica right now. Look at the outline of the island. The western tip forms a head. The eastern mountain range forms a shell ridge. Ancient Taino people, Jamaica's original inhabitants, noticed this too. Their name for the island was Zaimaka, believed to mean land of wood and water. But early maps labeled it Turtle Island for exactly this reason. But the geography gets stranger from here. Fact number 6. The town with 2 sunsets. Negril sits at Jamaica's westernmost tip on a narrow spit of land. The town is barely a mile wide at some points. Stand at the right spot at dusk and you can watch the sun set over the Caribbean to your left, while its light still glows on the water to your right. 2 sunsets, one moment, one tiny strip of land. Fact number 7. Jamaica's invisible third coast. Most maps show Jamaica as a simple island shape. What they don't show? Jamaica sits on a massive underwater plateau. This submerged shelf extends miles in all directions, shallow enough for coral, too shallow for large ships. Effectively, Jamaica has a third coast, entirely underwater, spanning an area larger than the island itself. It's home to one of the most complex coral ecosystems in the Atlantic. Fact number 8. The river that flows backward after storms. Jamaica's Black River is the longest river on the island. During major hurricanes, something almost impossible happens. Storm surge from the Caribbean pushes seawater inland, upstream against the current. For hours, the river literally flows backward. Salt water floods crocodile habitats miles from the coast. Locals have documented saltwater crocodiles appearing in fields 2 miles from the sea. Fact number 9. the mountain that catches clouds for drinking water. At the highest elevations of the Blue Mountains, trees literally harvest water from clouds. Moisture condenses on leaves and drips into the soil, a process called fog drip. Hydrologists have calculated this adds the equivalent of 200 extra inches of rainfall per year to the mountain's water table. Kingston, a city of nearly 1 million people at sea level, partially depends on this cloud-captured water. A city drinking clouds, filtered through a mountain. Fact number 10. The crab migration that shuts down roads. Every spring in coastal Jamaica, the roads close. Not because of traffic, not because of construction. Hundreds of thousands of land crabs emerge from their forest burrows and march to the sea to spawn. They cross roads, flood gardens, climb walls. Nothing stops them. The government officially reroutes traffic. The crabs win every time. Fact number 11. The world's largest English-speaking city in the Caribbean. Kingston is the largest predominantly English-speaking city in the entire Caribbean. But here's the twist. Nobody really speaks English there. Jamaican patois is so linguistically distinct that linguists debate whether it's a dialect or a completely separate language. It has its own grammar rules, tense systems, and vocabulary that don't map to standard English. Visitors who speak English fluently can stand in Kingston and understand nothing. Fact number 12. The pirate capital that once ruled the Atlantic. In the 1660s, Port Royal was the richest city in the entire Western Hemisphere. It was the unofficial capital of Atlantic piracy, with more bars, brothels, and gold than anywhere on Earth. Then, on June 7, 1692, a massive earthquake struck. 2/3 of the city sank into the sea in under 2 minutes. Today, the sunken ruins sit 40 feet underwater, an intact 17th century city preserved by the sea. Archaeologists call it the Pompeii of the Caribbean. Fact number 13. The Maroon nation within a nation. Deep in Jamaica's cockpit country live the Jamaican Maroons, descendants of enslaved Africans who escaped and built a free nation in the mountains. They fought the British Empire to a standstill for 76 years. In 1739, the British signed an official peace treaty recognizing Maroon sovereignty over their lands. That treaty is still legally active today. The Maroon communities are semi-autonomous, with their own chiefs, courts, and land rights that Jamaican law cannot override. Fact number 14. Cockpit country, where terrain defeated empires. Cockpit country looks like nothing else on Earth. It's a plateau riddled with hundreds of perfectly circular sinkholes, each one 300 to 500 feet deep. Between the sinkholes, razor-sharp limestone ridges, caves, and jungles so dense GPS is useless. 3 different colonial armies tried to invade this terrain and failed completely. It's not just natural beauty, it's a geographic fortress that changed the course of Caribbean history. Fact number 15. The country that invented a global music genre, twice. In the 1960s, reggae was born in Jamaica and quickly spread across the world, influencing hip-hop, punk, pop, and electronic music. But that's not even the jaw-dropping part. In the 1980s, dancehall emerged, shaping Caribbean pop, UK grime, and modern Afrobeats. One island with 3 million people has produced 2 globally dominant music genres. No other nation its size has done this even once. And the cultural geography keeps bending reality. Fact number 16. The place names that map Jamaican suffering. Across Jamaica, you'll find villages named Wait a Bit, Heartsease, Rest and Be Thankful, and Comfort Hall. These aren't random names. Geographers have traced them to the experience of enslaved people. Settlements were named by their first inhabitants, describing the relief of reaching safety or the hardship of the journey. The entire map of Jamaica is a geographic record of trauma and survival. Every road sign is a piece of living history. Fact number 17. The diaspora that built cities on other continents. More people of Jamaican origin live outside Jamaica than inside it. The Jamaican diaspora numbers nearly 4 million people, spread across the United Kingdom, United States, Canada, and Central America. Entire neighborhoods in London, Toronto, and New York City are culturally and economically Jamaican communities. Remittances sent home from the diaspora equal roughly 20% of Jamaica's entire GDP. The island's economy partially runs on the loyalty of people who left. Fact number 18. The Bauxite Island. Sitting on aluminum wealth. Jamaica sits on one of the world's largest bauxite deposits. Bauxite is the raw material for aluminum, used in everything from aircraft to smartphones. For decades, multinational corporations extracted it at enormous scale, transforming huge swaths of Jamaican landscape. Those mined areas turned bright red, visible from space. The island has been physically changed at a planetary scale, mostly to supply aluminum to wealthy nations. Fact number 19. The hurricane corridor that changed global weather. Understanding Jamaica sits in one of the most active hurricane corridors on the planet. But here's what most people don't know. Jamaica's Blue Mountains fundamentally disrupt hurricane structure. When a hurricane passes over the mountains, the terrain literally shreds the storm's lower circulation. Meteorologists have documented hurricanes that weakened or changed track solely because of Jamaican topography. A mountain range that punches hurricanes. Fact number 20. The mini-climax, the island that sinks and rises. Jamaica is slowly sinking. The entire island sits on the Caribbean plate, which is subducting, sliding under the North American plate. Scientists have measured Jamaica sinking at roughly 1 to 2 millimeters per year, but simultaneously, the Blue Mountains are being thrust upward by the same geological forces. Jamaica is literally being torn in two directions at the tectonic level, the coast sinking, the mountains rising. In 10,000 years, the coast you see today may be completely underwater, while new mountains emerge from the interior. Fact number 21. The earthquake fault running under Kingston. Kingston, capital city, population nearly 1 million. Built directly on top of an active seismic fault line. In 1907, a magnitude 6.5 earthquake destroyed 85% of the city in under 2 minutes. Geologists have identified this as one of the most overdue major earthquake zones in the Caribbean. A city of 1 million people living directly above a geological time bomb. Fact number 22. The global drug trade route that passes through paradise. Jamaica's geographic position in the Caribbean makes it an unavoidable waypoint. It sits at the intersection of South American cocaine routes heading to the United States and Europe. The Drug Enforcement Administration has classified Jamaica as a primary Caribbean transshipment point. This single geographic fact has shaped Jamaica's crime statistics, foreign policy, and social structure for decades. Geography doesn't just determine weather, it determines destiny. Fact number 23. The coral reef being bleached by climate change in real time. Jamaica's coral reefs were once described by Jacques Cousteau as among the most spectacular in the world. Since the 1970s, Jamaica has lost over 85% of its coral reef cover. What killed most of it was a single event. In 1983, a disease wiped out 97% of the sea urchins that kept algae in check. The algae exploded, smothered the coral. Climate change is now accelerating bleaching events. What was once a once-a-decade crisis now happens every 3 to 4 years. Fact number 24. The wind pattern that made Jamaica the first transatlantic destination. Christopher Columbus didn't stumble onto Jamaica randomly. The trade winds, predictable, powerful, seasonal, made Jamaica the natural endpoint for ships sailing west from the Canary Islands. The same wind pattern that Columbus used is still the fastest sailing route across the Atlantic today. Jamaica's position in these winds made it the crossroads of the Atlantic world for 300 years. The entire colonial economy of the Western Hemisphere was partly organized around this island's wind address. Fact number 25. The underground limestone aquifer feeding millions. Jamaica's limestone karst landscape is riddled with underground aquifers. Rain falling on the mountains disappears into the rock, filtering through hundreds of feet of limestone. It re-emerges as springs and wells across the island, naturally purified. Jamaican spring water is so chemically clean that it's exported as premium mineral water to North America and Europe. The entire island's geology functions as one giant living water filter. We're only halfway. The next facts rewrite what you thought you knew. Fact number 26. The ocean floor canyon that exceeds the deepest point of the Atlantic. Just south of Jamaica lies the Cayman Trench, the deepest point in the entire Caribbean Sea. It plunges to over 25,000 feet. That's deeper than most of the Atlantic Ocean floor. The island of Jamaica literally rises from this abyss. Its mountain roots extend downward further than the height of the peaks above. You're looking at a mountain range 40,000 feet tall. Most of it is just underwater. Fact number 27. The toxic flood that erased an entire coastal town. When Hurricane Ivan hit Jamaica in 2004, it carried something more dangerous than wind. Bauxite tailings, chemical waste from mining operations, were stored in coastal ponds. The storm surge breached the containment walls. Toxic red slurry flooded coastal communities. Entire neighborhoods were buried under mining waste mixed with seawater. Some areas were declared uninhabitable. The geography of the coastline was permanently changed. Fact number 28. The climate anomaly. Rainforest next to desert. Drive 10 miles across Jamaica, and you can go from rainforest to near desert. The Blue Mountains capture all the moisture from northeast trade winds, dropping 200 inches of rain per year on the windward side. The leeward south coast sits in a rain shadow, receiving under 30 inches annually. Same island, same elevation, different worlds. Farmers on opposite sides of the same mountain range grow completely different crops in completely different climates. Fact number 29. The ocean current that controls Jamaica's climate from Africa. Every summer, a massive plume of Sahara desert dust travels 4,000 miles across the Atlantic Ocean. It reaches Jamaica in the form of hazy skies, reduced visibility, and respiratory health alerts. But the dust also carries iron-rich minerals that fertilize Caribbean phytoplankton, the base of the entire ocean food chain. African desert dust is literally feeding Caribbean marine ecosystems. Jamaica's ocean is partly nourished by Africa's storms. Fact number 30. The second climax. Jamaica's sea is two oceans simultaneously. Here's a fact that oceanographers have verified, but that sounds completely impossible. The water around Jamaica is technically two different ocean bodies at once. The Caribbean Sea and the Atlantic Ocean meet and overlap around the island, with measurably different temperatures, salinity levels, and current directions on opposite coasts. The north coast sits in Caribbean seawater. The south coast sits in Atlantic-influenced water. Dive on the north, and you're in the Caribbean. Swim to the south shore, and you're in the Atlantic. You can change oceans by driving across an island 2 hours wide. Fact number 31. The global linguistic superpower nobody talks about. Jamaican patois is spoken by tens of millions of people on every continent. Caribbean diaspora communities from London to New York City to Tokyo have adopted patois words into their daily speech. Words like eerie, dreadlocks, jaw, and rhythm are now used globally. Many people don't know they're Jamaican. An island with 3 million people has exported a linguistic system that altered the vocabulary of modern English worldwide. Jamaica didn't just produce music, it produced a new way humans talk to each other. Fact number 32. The fastest humans ever recorded on this specific track. Jamaica's inter-secondary schools boys and girls championships, known locally as champs, have produced more Olympic medalists than most countries' entire national programs. At the 2009 World Championships in Athletics in Berlin, Jamaicans set world records in the 100-meter, 200-meter, and 4x100-meter relay simultaneously. Every single record was broken by products of the Jamaican high school athletics system. The fastest humans ever to run on Earth were shaped by a tiny island's secondary school sports culture. Fact number 33. The Rasta geography, a religion born from a map. Rastafari, born in Jamaica in the 1930s, is fundamentally a geographic religion. It identifies Africa, specifically Ethiopia and Zion, as humanity's true spiritual homeland. This reverse geography, the idea that Jamaicans were exiled from Africa and must return, became a global spiritual movement. Over 1 million people worldwide now practice Rastafari, with communities on 6 continents. A small island produced a theology that remapped humanity's relationship to its origins. Fact number 34. The secret military facility in the Blue Mountains. During the Cold War, the Blue Mountains hosted secret U.S. military listening stations. The elevation and location gave these facilities line of sight to Cuban radio transmissions and Soviet Union naval activity. Jamaica's mountain geography made it one of the most strategically valuable intelligence-gathering sites in the Western Hemisphere. Declassified Central Intelligence Agency documents confirm Jamaica was a primary Cold War surveillance node. A coffee mountain was quietly one of the most important Cold War spy platforms on Earth. Fact number 35. The species found only in Jamaica that shouldn't exist. Jamaica has 800-plus plant species and 27 bird species found nowhere else on Earth. The Jamaican iguana was declared extinct in 1948, but in 1990, a hunter's dog discovered one alive in the Hellshire Hills. A species believed gone for 42 years had survived in a hidden limestone forest. Scientists now believe cockpit country may still hide species unknown to science. On this island, extinction isn't always permanent. Fact number 36. The most musically dense square mile in history. Trenchtown, a small neighborhood in Kingston, produced Bob Marley, Bunny Wailer, Peter Tosh, Jimmy Cliff, and Toots Hibbert, all from a 3-square-mile area in the 1960s. Music historians call it the most musically influential neighborhood ever relative to its size. There was poverty, little electricity, and no running water in many homes. Yet music from those streets is still played across the world every day. Fact number 37. The genetic puzzle studied by sports scientists. Researchers from the University of the West Indies found many Jamaicans carry a high frequency of the ACTN3 variant, linked to fast-twitch muscle power. It's not a full explanation, just one piece of the puzzle. West African ancestry, island geography, and centuries of extreme physical labor may all play a role. The fastest humans alive may be shaped by history, biology, and survival. Fact number 38. The ocean crossroads of the world. Kingston Harbor is one of the largest natural harbors on Earth. Its depth allows the world's largest container ships to dock. Major shipping routes between North America, South America, Europe, and the Panama Canal pass near Jamaica. The island sits at the intersection of 5 major global trade routes, generating billions in transshipment trade. Fact number 39. The climate crisis still ahead. Scientists project that by 2100, parts of Jamaica's coastline could be permanently underwater. Areas of Kingston, Negril, and many fishing villages may face flooding. The government has already begun planning for possible relocation. In the future, hundreds of thousands of people may have to move inland toward the mountains. Fact number 40. Jamaica is geologically ancient. Jamaica has remained above sea level for over 140 million years. Dinosaurs lived and vanished. Continents shifted. Mass extinctions reshaped life on Earth. But this island stayed above the waves. The piracy, the music, the history, all happened on a piece of land older than most mountains on Earth, and its story is still being written. Geography shapes more than borders. It shapes people, survival, culture, and history. Jamaica is just 4,244 square miles of limestone, jungle, and coral. Yet it influenced global music, human speed, language, and geopolitics. For 140 million years, this island has stood above the ocean, and it's still standing.